Orochimaru is one of those villains where if you go back and rewatch part 1, you're reminded of just how well written he actually was. Like the tuning exams arc alone, the way he's introduced, the curse seal, the whole vibe of him just being wrong in every way most anime villains aren't, it holds up really well. And then Shippuden happens, and somewhere along the line, that character just stops being properly used. That's what we're gonna get into today, because Orochimaru's treatment in Shippuden is one of those things that the more you think about it, the more frustrating it gets. Not because he's ruined or anything, his legacy is still intact, but the gap between what he was set up to be and what he actually got to do in the sequel series is pretty hard to ignore. To understand why Shippuden dropped the ball, you have to remember what made Orochimaru so effective in the first place. He wasn't just a powerful villain, he was genuinely unsettling. Everything about him felt like a line was being crossed. Experimenting on kids, jumping between bodies, even leaving the Akatsuki, which, think about it for a second, an organization full of S-rank criminals decided he was too much. That's not nothing, but what made him more than just a creepy villain was that his motivations actually made sense. The obsession with immortality wasn't random, it came from somewhere real. His parents died when he was young, he slowly lost the connection he had with Jiraiya and Tsunade, and over time, he became completely fixated on the idea of never dying. That is coherent psychology. You don't have to agree with it, but you understand it. And his presence in the story carried real weight. When Sasuke chose to leave the village and go to him at the end of part 1, that decision landed hard because the audience already understood who Orochimaru was, what he did to people, what it meant to willingly walk into his world. He was also just thematically perfect as a villain for this specific story. Naruto is fundamentally about bonds, about not giving up on people, about growing through connection. Orochimaru stood for the exact opposite, pure isolation, using people as tools, disregarding everything in pursuit of his own goals. He was built to be the counter argument to everything the series believed in. So yeah, he was really well set up, which makes what comes next even more frustrating. Shippuden starts off fine. Orochimaru is still lurking, still feels dangerous. Sasuke is training under him, and there's genuine tension in waiting to see what the plan is, when he's going to make his move. And then not even that far into the series, Sasuke just defeats him. Now, in terms of Sasuke's arc, that scene works. The whole point is that Sasuke flipped the script on someone who spent years trying to use and possess him. That's satisfying for his story, fair enough. But zoom out and think about what just happened. The guy who killed the Third Hokage, who forced Konoha into a full invasion, who Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin, generally considered a serious threat, that guy was taken out in his deathbed early in the sequel series, mostly to serve another character's moment. For a villain of his caliber, that's a really underwhelming exit. He deserved an actual send-off, not just a stepping stone moment. But considering what happens later on, we might as well have just kept this and kept it pushing. Here's where it really starts to sting though, because he does come back. Sasuke revives him during the war arc, and there's a real window of opportunity there. Much as I don't like how he got revived because it seems so arbitrary, there is potential to be had. The war arc is in full swing, Madara's out here going absolutely crazy, the whole world is in chaos. That's the perfect environment for Orochimaru. That's his type of situation. Think about who he is as a character. He always has a plan inside of a plan. He plays multiple angles at once. He's never just reacting, he's positioning. So you'd expect that in the middle of this massive conflict, he'd have some kind of move. Maybe he's trying to get his hands on the Ten Tails. Maybe he's feeding information to multiple sides. Maybe he's setting something up that nobody sees coming. Instead, he just tags along with Sasuke's group, revives the dead Hokage, and then basically fades into the background for the rest of the arc. The man built an entire hidden village as a shadow operation inside enemy territory. He had sleeper agents in Konoha for years, and in the biggest arc of the whole series, he's a spectator. It genuinely feels like the writers just didn't have a role for him and didn't know what to do. Like I said, him coming back in this way was dumb, but he might as well not have come back at all. Then Boruto rolls around and Orochimaru is just kind of reformed now. He's got a kid, runs a research lab, loosely operates within Konoha. He's still a bit unsettling, but ultimately harmless. And look, villain redemption arcs can be incredible when they're done right. Zuko's arc in The Last Airbender is one of the greatest character acts in animation, no, in fiction period. Vegeta's whole journey across Dragon Ball Z is built on the tension between who he was and who he's becoming. Those work because you actually see the transformation, you feel the weight of it. With Orochimaru, it just kinda gets skipped over. There's no real confrontation with what he did. He experimented on hundreds of children, he killed the Third Hokage, he terrorized entire villages for years. None of that gets addressed in any meaningful way. He just quietly becomes a background character who's no longer a threat. It doesn't feel like a redemption. It feels like the story didn't know what to do with him once the main conflict moved past him, so it just parked him somewhere out of the way. This is the part that's genuinely interesting to think about, because there were some pretty natural paths available that never got taken. The most obvious one let him actually be the wild card of the war arc. He doesn't need to be a hero or a straightforward villain in this arc. He just needs to be himself. Give him his own agenda that isn't fully aligned with anyone. Let him try to steal power from the Ten Tails. Let him manipulate both sides. That's completely in character, and it would have made the war arc feel more unpredictable than it already was. Or if the plan was to always have him go out during Shippuden, then let it be that Sasuke does kill him in his deathbed and keep it at that. Or if you did want to bring him back, allude it in a quiet and cool way. During the Sasuke and Itachi fight, there was a snake that ended up getting burned by the Amaterasu, and it was alluded to that no, this is the end for Orochimaru. There's no point in him coming back. But what if that snake was slithering away without the Amaterasu burning him? That could have alluded to the idea of Orochimaru coming back. But no, that scene indicated, at least to me, that he's gone for good. So him coming back in the war arc, especially in the way that he did, was kinda dumb. And if the goal was always to end up with a reformed Orochimaru in Boruto, then that arc needs to actually be written. You can't just skip over to the destination. The Hokage's revival scene pointed in the right direction. There's something in him acknowledging the past, doing something for reasons other than pure self-interest, but it needs a lot more behind it to actually mean anything. There's one thing worth bringing up that doesn't get talked about enough. A lot of the story beats Orochimaru should have gotten in Shippuden, Kabuto got instead. Kabuto's arc is legitimately cool. The identity crisis, losing himself by trying to become Orochimaru, the Sage Mode transformation, getting beaten through Izanami, solid writing all around, no real complaints there. But look at what that arc is actually built on. It's Orochimaru's themes, Orochimaru's obsessions, Orochimaru's whole deal. Just filtered through the student. Kabuto is essentially Orochimaru 2.0, and the fact that those stories got told through him rather than the original says a lot about where things went wrong. The writers clearly still wanted to explore that type of character, they just had to do it through Kabuto because by that point, they'd already written the original into a corner. Like I said, if Orochimaru was going to be brought back in the war arc, have him be in place of where Kabuto was, him being the wild card and wanting to quote unquote work with Obito, but still have his own goals and ambitions. So here's where it all lands. Orochimaru's part 1 run is genuinely untouchable. The Chunin exams, the Hokage assassination, the cursed seals, the whole mythology around the Sound Village, that stuff is iconic and it holds up. His legacy as a villain is secure, but Shippuden never really figured out what to do with him once he served his purpose in Sasuke's story. He got used as a plot device, then as a convenient revival button, then quietly stuffed into the background. For a character that was built around having no limits, always having a plan, always being 3 steps ahead, just fading out like that doesn't fit. And it's not that he has a bad legacy, it's that there was so much more on the table that never got used. Anyways, where do you guys stand on this? Did Shippuden do Orochimaru dirty, or do you think his arc made sense for where the story was going? I'd love to get y'all's thoughts, so let me know in the comment section below. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, click the card you see here, which will take you to my video on why I still think Orochimaru is still a top tier villain in general in the world of Naruto. I'm the curly haired Hokage, and I hope you all have an amazing and blessed day. Peace.